What's good, YouTube? It's Real Jev. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going over the top 10 tips in College Football 26 Dynasty mode. A lot has changed since last year's game, which means there's a lot of new strategies and a lot of new things to learn. So whether you're a returning player or you're brand new to Dynasty mode, there's going to be something in this video to help you out. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Tip number 1 is very important. First of all, we need to always make a custom coach. It may be we have no way of ever changing what he has on, so whatever he's built up to this point is kind of just part of the coach, which is not necessarily a horrible thing, but if you're planning to play this long term, I would always do a custom coach because then you have full control of how your coach is built early, midpoint, and end game. First of all, you want to go recruiter. Recruiter is by far the best skill tree. It did get some nerfs since last year. It's by far still the best because we want to work towards the elite recruiter tree, still the best skill tree in the entire game. If you're pulling in recruits, you're going to win games. The only other option I would say is tactician for online dynasties, but even then, you need to be winning games consistently. If you're not winning games, I would just go with recruiter. It's by far the easiest, and it's long-term probably going to be your best option. I do think eventually you want to build into motivator because it does have some nice boost for your off-season training, which is very important, but I would always start with recruiter. Tip number 2 is brand new to this year's game. It is the auto subs by wear and tear slider, which is really nice. So we're going to go over to the team section, click on auto subs, and if we scroll down here to the wear and tear sub strategy, it'll give you all of the reasons, the pros and the cons for your wear and tear strategy. So we've got grinded out, which basically just keeps your players on the field as long as possible. We have the custom option where you can control it yourself. Normal is just kind of like the default. And then keep fresh will keep brand new players subbing in and out very frequently. So this may be something you would want to use for something like your halfback, where your halfbacks are constantly getting hit. If you've got a deep rotation of running backs, you can sub them in and out. Same for wide receivers, and you can do this by every single position, giving you full control of how often your players sub in and out and how you can manage that wear and tear. Obviously, there will be certain positions, say for example like quarterback. You probably don't want to be subbing your quarterback in and out all game, so we just want to keep this on, custom, and we could change it all the way to 0, or we could just do the grinded out option. More often than not, your quarterback will not sub out anyways, but if you do keep it on the keep fresh option, you actually will see your quarterback sub in and out as well. So make sure you take a look at this, get it set where you like, and then if you don't like the default options, you can always change it to custom, which changes how often they sub in or out of the game. Tip number 3, also brand new to this year's game. One of my biggest complaints from last year, formation subs are finally in the game, and they are one of the best parts of Dynasty. So I'm not going to go deep diving into this, but I'll just show you a quick example. Let's say that I really like the Y off trips formation. If I press A on this, I can actually go in by player and change exactly who I want at each spot. What this means is that whenever I go to a different formation, that formation will still have its default roster setup. But this makes it where you have full control if there's certain formations where, say, you want your better blocking tight ends on the play, if you want your better blocking wide receivers out there, if you want the faster players, you have so much control of who you put in. So if I click on Donovan McCulley, I can go through and change exactly which wide receivers here. And now I change it to Andrew Marsh, and that's only for this formation. So if I go to any of these other formations, it'll be back to the default settings. But whenever we go to Y off trio in a game, whatever I have saved here will be the style or the players that are on the field. And you can do this for offense, defense, and you can also do this for different playbooks. You just have to go and change your coaching playbook, which is found right here in the coach section. We go to scheme and playbook, and we have full control of what we use here. And then anything that you select, you can go and use your formation subs for this as well. Tip number 4 is one of those things that is completely up to you whether you choose to use it or not, but this year they did add the ability to manually progress your players. So if you go to your Dynasty settings and you scroll all the way to the bottom, you turn auto progress players to off. That now activates this manual XP progression penalty. So it starts at 25%, which means that every bit of experience that your players earn, it's cut by 25%. So if they earn 100 XP, they're only going to earn 75 of that XP. You can turn this all the way to 0 if you don't like the penalty. If you think it's too little, you can even raise it up to crazy numbers. I do think the 25% penalty is really nice for online dynasties. If you're someone that doesn't like to handicap yourself, or you just want to have full control and full fun, then you can turn this down to 0. I've been playing around 10 or 15% in my offline dynasties. I think it's a pretty nice sweet spot that doesn't make it super crazy. But 100% up to you. Do not have to use this, but I did want to point out that it is an option this year. Tip number 5 is one of my favorite things that they added to Dynasty mode this year. It is location-based visit cost. What that means is players that are closer to your school will be cheaper to get on visits, which visits are actually very strong. They just didn't really make sense to use last year because they were so expensive, and you never really knew if a player might commit before your, say, week 10, week 11, whatever visits. This year, though, someone like Sean Colombo, he's from Michigan. It only costs 10 hours to get him on a visit, so I might as well do it, right? Get him on one of his good grades. Visit's done. It only cost me 10 hours. Didn't really take away from any of my other recruiting process. And if we take a look at someone like Tommy McQueen, he's from Illinois, 15 hours. And it scales based on how far away they are from your school. So you see a lot of these 15s. We go to here, we got a 25-hour one, and it does go all the way up to 40, but you see that based on how close they are to Michigan is how cheap it'll be. So make sure you're doing your visits this year. They're way cheaper this year, which means you definitely should be scheduling visits, especially on the players very close to your school or from your state of your school. Thank you for watching to this point of the video. If you've gotten any kind of value out of this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also hit that notification bell to be notified every single time I upload a brand new College Football 26 video. It helps push my videos out to the community, and we're trying to push for 6,000 subs by December, so I'd really appreciate y'all's support. All right, let's get back to the video. Tip number 6 is definitely more so for the beginner players, or maybe you're someone that hasn't played in a while, you're a returning player and it's been a minute, you feel kind of rusty. I definitely recommend you hop into the free practice mode in Dynasty. Get a feel for some formations, get a feel for some plays that you like to run. If you're unfamiliar with stuff like this and this is brand new to you, go on YouTube, look up some good passing plays, some good passing formations, and hop in here and practice them. So like a really popular play I like is mesh spot. And then we'll just hop in against like a basic like cover 2 coverage if I can find it, Tampa 2. And then I'm just gonna hop into this play and I'll just run it a handful of times. Get a feel for the reads, who I'm looking to throw the ball to. Nice little 10. Oh, it actually breaks away into touchdown on that play. But just get a feel for the plays. Get a feel for what you like to throw. Something like Haynes out of the backfield, nice little 5-yard pickup. We'll run it one more time. One of my favorite reads here. Little curl route in the middle of the field. That's a nice 20-yard gain. So just get in here, take a look at the plays, see where you like to throw the football, and then whenever you get comfortable with that specific play against that specific coverage, then go to the same play. Again, mesh spot. I'm not going to go through this fully, but hop in mesh spot, and then just go and play against a different coverage. Kind of learn how the play develops against different schemes, different plays, and get comfortable with it. Because if you're not comfortable with these formations, you're going to go into the game and you're going to get smoked and you're going to be real sad. So put the time in, practice some plays, and get better at the game. Tip number 7 is for your defensive coaching adjustments. If you are looking to get better at defense, I do have 2 videos down below. One is a top 5 beginner tips for your defense, and then one is a full defensive scheme breakdown. Again, both of these are very beginner friendly, so if you're looking for a brand new formation and you want to be elite at defense, both of those videos will be down below. Make sure you check those out after this one is over. All right, so let's hop into the coaching adjustments. All we have to do that is click the right stick in, and that'll pull up the coaching adjustments. I'm not going to fully break down all of these, but we'll just talk about a few key ones that you want to be familiar with. So number 1, safety depth, safety width, very important. Midpoint has its uses, not quite as important. Depth is something you're going to want to hop in and take a look at for your red zone situations. Whenever someone is close to scoring like getting it close to the end zone, I would change this to tight or close. If it's end of the game and you're trying to keep someone from scoring, I would probably go deep. Just kind of as a base rule, but come into practice mode, get familiar with these. Zone drops, we'll kind of skip over these. These are not as important as they used to be. Strip ball and tackling, I would keep these on default. RPO pass key, this is one of the best settings they added this year. Again, I'm not going to fully dive into all this because I already have a video talking about all this and kind of breaking it down further. But just as a base rule, I would put pass key on conservative, read key on conservative, pitch key on aggressive, read key on conservative, and that's basically it. Nothing else really is important here. If you do like to play a lot of man coverage, they do have a setting here though for your cornerbacks where you can change it by overall, by speed, by height, by route running. So if you want to put your best corners on the best wide receivers, based on speed, overall, whatever it may be, they do have that setting here. I know I'm talking fast, but I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible, not waste y'all's time. So that is tip number 7. So get familiar with these, and they will make you a much better defensive player. Tip number 8 is for your gameplay settings. So you can change this in Dynasty, or you can do it in the main menu. I would recommend you do it in the main menu just so it's done and you don't have to worry about it ever again. But come in here and take a look at your passing type. There's 2 options I think you should take a look at. Number 1 is revamped passing, probably the most diverse and fun passing mechanic in the game. It's very easy to control how you throw the football, where you put it, but the placement and accuracy is what a lot of the more competitive players use. It's much easier to get these perfect bullet passes. It's also probably just more visually appealing to the eye of timing the mechanic. It's a very fun mechanic to get good at. But I do think if you're playing offline, because if you can get good with this, you're going to have a lot more control over where you put the football than somebody that's just using placement and accuracy. I would change the pass lead increase to none, or you can keep it on small, but do not go to medium or large, or you're going to start seeing a lot of footballs be out of reach of your receiver, which is very, very frustrating. Keep passing slowdown on off, not really important. Vertical speed, keep it on 7. All right, and then if we scroll down here to these settings that are called the gameplay helpers, we want all of these on. The game is very, very difficult, and unless you're playing an online Dynasty where they default all of these to off, which is a pretty rare thing, I would turn all of these on because the game can be dramatically harder with these off. Specifically the ball hawk and the heat seeker. These are very hard to play without. It's kind of hard to explain, but ball hawk basically helps you intercept the football easier, and then heat seeker assist helps you tackle easier as well. Heat seeker window size, this actually starts, I believe, at 100%. We want to turn this all the way up to 200%, giving you the max assist possible. There's no reason to not use this. It's kind of just, it's more hurtful than helpful. There's not really any negative to having it lower, so I would max it out. Switch stick delay, this is something that if you haven't played last year, you're not familiar what this is. The switch stick means you can change players mid-play, kind of bounce around between your different DBs on the field. If you don't want to use this, you can just change it to disable switch stick. I would recommend you try to learn the switch stick. It is very fun and it's a very skilled mechanic, but I would keep it on slight. Slight gives a slight delay so you don't accidentally switch players the second the play starts and take someone out of their coverage. And that's basically it for your gameplay settings. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below though. All right, tip number 9 is all about your player progression. So if you do have manual progression on, which I think that you should if you're just wanting to play it from like a pure competitive standpoint, if you're kind of wanting more of that random chance RNG, maybe your team develops, maybe they don't, 100% keep it off. It's your Dynasty, make it the way you want. But for those that do have manual progression on, I recommend you not spend your skill points until the end of the season. Some people are kind of being crazy and saving them for like 2 seasons down the road. I don't think that's smart. You're getting less value out of your players. Use your points during the off-season training. So you see we have 68 skill points to spend on Bryce Underwood. First of all, he does have a lot of caps, so we got to make sure we're paying attention to our players' caps. All these little boxes with the lines through it mean that they can never go past it. So let's just take a look at this. IQ, hold A to purchase. I'm going to do it 2 more times. You see it starts to gradually get more expensive, but then now it says not enough points. What it actually means is we are capped, so I cannot upgrade his IQ anymore. He's maxed on his awareness, all that. Take a look at accuracy. So if we upgrade the accuracy, same thing, his overall will start going up. Now he's capped. We can't go any higher. But then you have 2 options with your skill points. So you can either spend them on your ratings or you can do your abilities, which are right here, your physicals. I recommend you do both, but always value your abilities first. There's 2 reasons for that. One, your players will play better. Your players definitely perform better based on abilities as opposed to ratings. It should probably be the other way around, but just being honest, it's not really, that's just not the way it works. But you can see I can upgrade my dot ability, which gives me increased accuracy in the pocket. And if I want to upgrade it more, I would need to upgrade the accuracy more, which I can't because he is capped. But now let's take a look at this. So these all cost a good amount of skill points, you see. The reason we want to spend it on abilities first, if we can, is this actually gives you a higher chance of keeping your player longer because the draft goes by overall. So if your player's a 95 overall as a junior, 100% they're being drafted. If they're, say, maybe an 85, 87 overall junior, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have one for another year. And it may not really matter, even though the ratings look like they're low. You know, maybe they've got, you know, gold extender, gold dot, gold downhill. Like all of their abilities are super maxed out, so they outplay their overall. So I definitely recommend you go abilities first for the sake of keeping your good players longer. The ratings really don't matter a ton outside of just getting the abilities. Once you have the abilities, that's kind of where the fun begins, and that's where the player actually starts to perform a lot better. Tip number 10 is all about the transfer portal. This is probably something I should have talked about at the beginning of the video because of how important it is, but nonetheless, we're talking about it now. The transfer portal this year is a lot more realistic. It's a lot more dangerous. It's much harder to keep your 85, 86, 87 overall backups. They're going to want to be playing because they're top tier talent. So be mindful of the way you build your team and be paying attention to, you see in the bottom right, it shows your deal breakers on your players. It'll show you what they need to want to come to your school or what they need to stay at your school. So make sure you're paying attention to that to actually work on this and make sure you're doing the right things. We go to the My School page, which is on the recruiting tab. We come here. Some of these cannot be changed, something like academic prestige. This is just something that's either your school's good at or they're not. But then you've got things like your athletic facilities. These can actually go up, and these have different impacts on your school. Some players will want to have good facilities. Some players will want to be championship contenders. All of these things have different impacts on different players, and they do change. So if your 78 overall player develops into a 90 overall, he may start caring about playing time, caring about championship contention, all of these things, proximity to home. All of these things have different impacts on your players. And since I'm at the end of the season, I can't show you super great, but like playing style, it shows you my players that are at risk of transferring down there. So we got to keep in mind how we keep these players. So like, for example, pocket passers, they want offensive yards per game, and the more offensive yards we get a game, the more impact it'll have on those players that have that playing style and that want to stay. So make sure you're paying attention to this, especially for the players you want to build around. At least do your best to try to work towards these. Some of these will be a little out of your control, especially if you're simming games. You don't have much control of how many yards you're getting on offense or how many you're keeping on defense. But just make sure that you are paying attention to these to some degree and trying to improve them the best you can. Transfer portal, though, it's basically the exact same as recruiting. Make sure you're going through and trying to find players that are interested in your school, and just make sure that you're doing the best job possible to keep your players. And if you don't like the portal changes, you think it's too extreme, or you think it's too little, go into the settings and you can change the transfer portal, and I'll actually show you that real quick. So if we go to the league settings in our Dynasty, we can actually come down here to the max transfers. We can raise this up if we think there's not enough players hitting the portal. If we think there's too many, we can lower it. And then they also have the option to change how many players from your user teams are willing to transfer, and same thing for the CPU. I've seen that most people think the sweet spot so far is around 17 for the max user. They change it to around 38 to 40-ish, and then the CPU usually about 50. This is kind of the sweet spot, but some people may think this is too little, so just kind of play around with it and see what works best for you. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. And leave a comment down below and let me know a tip that you think might be worth mentioning that I didn't get to in this video. Also, check out one of these videos popping up on the screen right now.